Hello, and welcome to the WWIA Podcast. We're honored to have you join us in our mission to bring honor, connection, and healing to America's combat wounded Purple Heart heroes. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we welcome you. If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. Please be sure to tell others about our podcast and leave us a review if you're enjoying what you're hearing. We've got another outstanding episode for you today, as WWIA Founder and CEO John McDaniel proudly introduces us to a man who's gone above and beyond in his passion and pursuit to honor and serve America's combat wounded veterans. Today, we welcome Mr. John Everett, affectionately known as Jello John, to the WWIA Podcast. John has been a central figure and member of Team Erie for 11 years, which hosts the Lake Erie Trophy Walleye fishing event for our heroes each year in Ashtabula, Ohio. With the assistance of his family and friends, John has also graciously spearheaded an annual fundraiser over the past 6 years, which has been a massive success in support of Team Erie's annual event. John is a perfect example of how patriots across North America can come together and make life-changing impacts on America's veterans. We appreciate John and Team Erie for their tremendous contributions and support of our mission throughout the years. Let's plug into the conversation now and learn more about John and his journey with WWIA.
Hi, I'm John McDaniel, founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation, and this is our podcast, Honor, Connect, and Heal. Hey, today I have a very special guest with me that I'd like to introduce you to. He's been a central figure in one of our most successful activities that we do, one of the field activities, part of Team Erie. We've been catching monster walleye in that wonderful lake for many, many years. And John Everett's with us on the program today. Hi, John. How are you?
Good. How about yourself, John?
Great. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day. I see, for those that can't see, obviously we're doing a podcast here, but in the background of you is a pegboard with a bunch of tools on it. So I assume that you're at work right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm a maintenance supervisor.
Okay, cool. Well, so Team Erie, for the listening audience out there, Team Erie's you guys have been doing this mission. I mean, it's over 10 years now, isn't it?
Yeah. I've been involved with them for 11, and it was a couple years before I got involved with them.
Yeah. So, what happens out there is, this event started, it was a walleye fishing event. It remains a walleye fishing event on Lake Erie, which is producing just phenomenal. It's a phenomenal fishery, right? I mean, you guys, I've seen pictures of you guys just stacking these monster walleye up that are 28, 32 inches in that range. They look like footballs.
Well, no, they can't see them, but if you look on your thing, here's a picture from our catch from this year.
Wow. So they can't see it. You can't see this, but these things they're monster. I grew up in Wisconsin, and when we caught a walleye in excess of 20 inches, it was a banner day. Let alone. And I went fishing with you guys out there a couple of years ago. I was on the event, and some of the captains were upset when they caught a 28-inch walleye. They're like, "Yeah, let's just throw it back." I'm like, "Throw it back! I'm going to mount that thing, right?" So, but you some of the great. I mean, this started out, like you say, 10, 12 years ago now, and you've had some really important, wonderful people helping with that mission. Larry Fielder. Bill Miller's now the captain. Joey Callie is there, and you, of course, John. You've got a great little nickname, by the way. I'll mention that. Everybody refers to you as Jello John.
JJ, yeah.
JJ, Jello John, and I'll tell you how'd that come about? Tell us how that came about. That nickname.
I just started making Jello shots, and everybody liked them, and one guy said, "You need a nickname," and one guy came up with JJ, and then what's that mean? Jello John. So it's John, you've had a couple of my Jello shots.
I did. I showed up to a banquet once upon a time, and you snuck in a cooler And inside of that cooler were all these, Jello shots, and I did have one or two. I remember that for sure. But yeah, so Jello John. All right, John Everett. So tell us for a second, how did you get involved in the foundation?
Just probably, about 11 years ago. Larry Fielder was in it with another guy, and he was getting out, and Larry's starting to run it and needed some help. So I kind of volunteered it, and I wanted to do something for the vets. And next thing you know, there was myself and another one of my buddies, Dan Wilson. We started out cleaning fish. These guys would come home with, I don't know, 200-300 fish, and we sit in the fish cleaning station, just Dan and myself, just cleaning fish for about 3-4 hours while these guys were all down at the campground. So those were long days. And now what we do is when the guys come in, they kind of want to learn how to clean the fish themselves. So we take everybody down to the fish cleaning station and teach them how to clean fish. And instead of Dan and myself doing it for 3-4 hours, we're done in about an hour with everybody helping.
Excellent.
And they all learn how to clean fish and go home, and they love it.
Yep. Well, that's part of the experience, right? Is this idea of, the harvest and then, taking the catch or whatever we've harvested with our heroes and consuming it. It's wild game or wild fish. And I imagine those guys go home with a cooler. I mean, if you're catching 200-300 walleye, these guys are all going home with coolers of fish, right?
Oh, yeah. What we do, too, just to make sure is like before the guys show up, we have our captains and me and a couple other guys. We hop on some boats and we go out and catch walleye. This way we can freeze them. Mm-hmm. So when the guys go home, they have frozen fish to take home to their families. And then we give them, I don't know, about 4, 5, 6 different recipes on how to cook them up, on what they want to do, deep fry them or pan fry them or different ways of doing it. So, yeah, they always take some home and cook it up with the families.
Excellent. Our motto is honor, connect, and heal. And so we serve Purple Heart recipients, regardless of the era of their conflict. We get them together. We surround them with people and communities who care. And, of course, that, connective tissue, if you will, between the wounded veterans. And we get them out there for a long weekend, 3 to 4 days. And so if you would describe what's going on in your camp there. I mean, if you could give us, you're right on the shore, for those that don't know, right on the shore of Lake Erie. Yeah, I guess Mentor, is that where you guys are?
No, we're out of, that's where
Ashtabula?
I live. We go out of Ashtabula.
Ashtabula, right. That's right. So Ashtabula, all the south shore of Lake Erie in Ohio. That's where you're at. And so describe for us, what does that scene look like? Because I think you guys end up with, it's either 8, 10, or 12. It's somewhere in that mix of heroes. It's quite a few Purple Heart recipients that we deliver to that to your great event. But describe for the audience here what's the scene? What's it look like? What's happening there?
So, well, we get this year, the last few years, we've been getting 10 Purple Heart vets. Mm-hmm. We started out with 6. We're staying with 10 right now. We don't want to go any higher, just so we can make sure we give the guys attention and pay attention to what they're doing, so it doesn't seem like they're forgotten. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when the guys fly in, we fly them in. We take them up to Keister Marina in Ashtabula. We meet them all there, and then we have the American Legion there. They come down with probably anywhere from 20 to 60 motorcycle riders with a police escort. We give these guys a parade through all the covered bridges in Ashtabula. People could actually stand on the road, see them, and wave to them. The guys really love that. We get them to the American Legion, have a big steak fry for them, and opening ceremonies. And then we go back to the camp. The camp, like I said, is at Keister Marina in Ashtabula. Mr. Keister is a very nice guy. He's donated the property ever since we've been doing it, 12, 13 years. He donates all this property, and then we get anywhere from 10 to 13 motorhomes. We put the guys up in the motorhomes. The volunteers stay in the motorhomes. And then we take them fishing Saturday morning, get everybody up about 5. We get them on the boat by 6, quarter after 6, because when we go down the river, there's a drawbridge down there. Drawbridge opens up every half hour. So the guys could just get a little river ride. The guys could see the scenery, see the drawbridge go up, which is pretty cool. And then get them out fishing. They get their limits sometimes within 2-3 hours. The guys are back with their limits, come back, show the guys how to clean fish. And then that Saturday night, we have a big fish fry for everybody. Purple Heart vets, volunteers, everybody who helps out. And then talk, sit around the campfire Saturday night, let the guys listen to the guys tell their stories, which is pretty interesting. And then Sunday morning, we do the same thing, get the guys up about 5:30 so we can meet that 6:30 bridge and get out fishing. Get out fishing, come back, and we'll have a barbecue truck on Sunday. It's called Woody's Barbecue. He's been there the last few years. And he takes care of all the guys for eating pulled pork sandwiches, ribs, everything. Great. Then we have our closing ceremonies with the guys, and it's just great seeing all the guys once you're out there, what I really like about it is this guy might have family problems at home, or he might be missing a body part. But when he's on the back of that boat cranking that 24, 25, 26 walleye in, you see him smiling from ear to ear. He's forgotten every problem he's had. And then when they come in, you see all these guys just talking with each other. Hey, this was great. Hey, did you ever see that fish? They're all just talking how big the fish was, what a great time they had. And that's one of the best things that I really like about it.
And that's the thing is you go, well, why is this a good thing? Why how could it be a bad thing? I mean, you're getting wounded veterans together. You're got a bunch of amazing volunteers in a tremendously supportive community involved. The captains are volunteering. You're going out there and of all the places in the world that you can catch monster walleye, I gotta say, I don't think I've seen anything that compares to what you guys do. Nothing. So the fishing is tremendous. You guys are coming back. You're teaching the guys, involving them in cleaning the fish, and then they're consuming it and they're going home to their families to provide substance in the way of, hey, beautiful fish from Lake Walleye. Lake Walleye. It is. I would rename it Lake Walleye, man. Exactly. I'll tell you what. Well, it's funny. It's not funny. It's a fact. I remember growing up. So I grew up, between, Wisconsin and, even before Wisconsin, it was Illinois. I was just outside of Chicago. My family lived there. And I remember seeing on TV back when there were 3 channels, I remember seeing on TV an advertisement. It was a commercial. It had a Native American, and he was featured, with his it was a bit of a weathered face look, as I recall. And then the camera panned to the shore of Lake Erie, and there was hypodermic needles and Coke cans and just sludge in the water. And, there was this Native American, who had a tear in his eye, looking at what was happening on the shores of Lake Erie. And Lake Erie was known as a dead lake, right? Yep. I mean, it was a dead lake. And from all the pollution, from all the industrialism, et cetera, et cetera. And then that was my image. And I lived with that image.
If you remember, they had that Cuyahoga River catch on fire.
There you go.
Catch on fire.
Right. Exactly. And so I had this image in my mind of what Lake Erie was, this dead, polluted lake. And I carried that with me basically my whole life until you guys reached out to me and said, hey, we want to do this event for our heroes. And, we started a chapter, and it's one of our most successful chapters that we have. It's just absolutely amazing. And, I thought, well, I'll show up to this thing. And I had no expectations. But next thing I know, you guys are cranking in these monster walleye. The lake is clean. Everything's beautiful. I'm like, wow, what a great story that is. That restoration. How powerful is nature? Humans were attempting to destroy it. Yet, after we applied a lot of pressure to it and got the big corporations to clean up their messes, and started cranking down with the EPA and all kinds of things that are good for the environment. the lake turned around, right? It just absolutely turned around. And that's just an amazing story altogether. So for us to be there and to enjoy that with our heroes, it's really quite remarkable. And you have, you guys have got a great team. You're wearing a pullover. I can see it, with the foundation's logo, the WWIA logo, and then below it says Team Erie. And I just love that. I absolutely love it because you guys are a team, and it's amazing. And you've got some just tremendous people supporting. You've got, leaders and supporters abound. You do a fundraiser every year. I've been to your fundraiser. It's great, and I would just genuinely want to thank you and your entire team. And I'm scheduled to talk to Bill after the holidays. Bill Miller and I are going to have a chat. But I wanted to have you on the program here and express, on behalf of the foundation and those that we serve, our gratitude for what you're doing, because it really is a model event. And John, you pour your heart and soul into this, and you're a volunteer like everybody else on your team, and it means so much to us, and especially our heroes. And you mentioned earlier, what kind of a feeling you have when you see a hero with a smile on his face. He might have problems at home. You might be missing a body part. His wounds that he sustained in combat might, are something that, that he's might be struggling with, as many of them do. But here he is cranking in a big walleye, and he's got a big smile on his face. And then we have some dinner, and we sit around the fire, and it's really, I think the whole thing, when you start talking about what is it that's happening in that space and why does it work, I just think personally, these guys who've gone off and fought, for freedom someplace and got wounded, and then they came back to America. Most of them never been to Ohio, let alone fished on Lake Erie. And now here they are coming to Ohio, and you guys, the people they don't even know, are opening their homes, using their boats, all this volunteer activity, all these amazing things to say, hey, thanks for what you did, right? I mean, that's what absolutely. It boils down to, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. You said it all right there in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, so, I understand you've been married for 43 years.
Yep. 44, actually.
44. Okay. 44 years to Jeannie, right?
Yep.
Your lovely bride who I've met.
Correct.
And you have two children?
Yes.
And some grandchildren involved.
Yep, John Jr. married to Sarah, and my granddaughter's Aubrey, and then my daughter's Jennifer married to Rick, and she's got two kids, Ethan and Ella.
Wow.
And they're 5, 7, and 10.
and they're in one way or another. Your family's involved in supporting the organization. I've seen them at the fundraiser. They've supported it. I've met them. Tell us a little bit about how you do what you do in terms of your fundraising activity. And I know that a lot of people, as I say, many hands make for light work, and that's the same thing with the smaller contributions that people make. But tell us about your fundraising activity and what's happening there.
Well, again, I get a lot of help from my family, friends. The grandkids, they're all my ticket pullers. They love doing that. Mm-hmm. But what I do, I started 6 years ago with a fundraiser. I wanted to raise some money because we needed some funds.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I'd start a fundraiser, see what happened. And I told myself if I raised around $5,000, I would do it the following year. And my first fundraiser, I had 15 people there. And I ended up raising $4,700, but I spent some money for the fundraiser. So It's like, okay, I guess I'm doing it again next year. I said, this wasn't that bad. And the following year, I had 30 people. So each year it started growing and growing. Third year, I started having a rigatoni dinner and a live band. And that started bringing more people. And I have a lot of sponsors. I go out. Actually, right now I'm going out. As you saw, I have one of those pictures. This is what I pass out. I pass out this for the people that. These are all the heroes signed thank you to all my vendors, and then I give them one of these pictures, and then the certificate. As you know, I go out and pass all these certificates out that you signed personally.
Yeah.
Which means a lot to these people because they just think it's all stamped. It's like, no, the founder, he goes over to every one. So actually, when I'm done with my fundraisers, I mean, a big important thing is going back to these people, give them a picture, give them a thank you card, give them anything because they don't see that. They're just amazed when I come back and do that. And I get them all, well, come back next year. Come back, see me next year. And then the word gets out, and then this company hears about it. I had a VFW in Streetsboro last year. They saw what my daughter posted. Again, the family helps out a lot. So when my daughter posted about the Wounded Warriors in action, and he called me up and said, John, want to do a Hot Wheels race? I said, what?
I love that idea.
A fundraiser. I said, what are you talking about? So what he did, they have a Hot Wheel race. You go out, you buy a Hot Wheels car, you keep it in the package, and you go there, you sign up, you buy your tickets, and you have a double elimination. And they had raffle prizes and a 50-50 there. Just from the Hot Wheel race, they ended up raising $3,500 for the Wounded Warriors in action just for racing cars.
What a great idea. I didn't even know that.
Oh, it was
Hot
unbelievable.
Wheel race. Yeah, and you got to keep it in the package, which makes it fair.
Right.
What
and if you don't have one, you could buy a car there that they would have too in the package.
Okay.
They had it all lasered, computerized, so there was no discrepancy on who won and who didn't win. So it was unbelievable.
I love that idea.
And then from there, the VFW there, another guy, he just he liked the Wounded Warriors in action. He liked what we did. He likes where the money goes to. His father just passed away. He was in the Army last year, and his grandfather was in the service, but he wasn't never in the service. So they just have a golf outing 2 weeks ago and donated all the money to Wounded Warriors in Action. That was another $3,500.
Wow.
So just from word of mouth from other people finding out what we do and how we do it, it's just unbelievable.
Isn't it great? It just feels, I'm always just blown away by, the power of people and their, and their willingness to give and to support and recognize, our nation's combat wounded and veterans in general. I mean, it's a very dangerous and scary world out there. And these brave men and women that just, raise their right hand and go off and fight, for freedom someplace, and get wounded in the process, and then come back home to the greatest country in the history of the world, and to be welcomed back and to express, to have the American people express their gratitude and their thanks for what they did. And they don't know these people from a hole in the wall. But for them to get together and to say, I want to make a difference, and then actually do something about it, to me, it's just, it warms my heart. It restores my faith in America and restores my faith in people when I'm in doubt. And these are just some amazing stories. And hey, thanks for sharing that. That's great, John. That's really, you held up a little piece of paper that had a bunch of quotes on it, signatures by some of the heroes. So you pass something around and they write thanks. Yeah. Can you read one of those? Is it possible for you to find something in there and read to us some of the quotes that are on there? Because what he's holding up is a piece of paper that's got our logo on it, and he had the heroes, I'm sure, sign it and say a little something. So just pick one or two out of there. It doesn't matter what it is, and read it to us if you don't mind. Okay,
here's one from Sergeant James Henry, retired. Had a great time. Not a person, but a great time. Good people, good food. Rob Baker, thank you for all you do. Had an amazing time. Sergeant Banks and Enred, brothers, I had a great time with you guys. Stay at peace. Another sergeant from the Army. Awesome event. Had a great time. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you for making this possible. I had an awesome time.
There's a theme going on there, right?
So yeah, they all
just saying thanks, right? They're just saying thank you for what you did. It's appreciated.
My first event like this, everything is first class. Wow. Army veteran Dave, whatever, I couldn't read his last name. So yeah, sure. Everybody, we had a guy 3 years ago. He said he heard about these events. He said he never wanted to do one. Mm-hmm. But he came to one of our events, and he goes, when I go home, he goes, I'm telling everybody about you guys. He goes, this was amazing. You guys treat us like first-class patrons. He goes, I never knew it was like this. Yeah. So, I mean, just seeing and hearing all that stuff's just amazing.
You know, I was on the one event that I came on, one of your events a few years ago, and you know, I think there was 2 or 3 of Vietnam veterans on that particular event, and one of them, and I don't recall the gentleman's name, but we were sitting there under the tent, you know, just having a refreshment and just chatting, and he says to me, you know, I was really hesitant to come on this event, he says, and I wouldn't have come if you didn't let me drive, he said, because I'm not getting on a plane. And I said, I get it. And he said, you know, of course, I think everybody is aware, most people are aware of this, but you know, when our heroes, our veterans came back from Vietnam, they weren't welcomed home. No. Nope. And that's sad. That to me is just unforgivable. And I've said that many times. And, you know, and I don't think the Americans, you know, across the board, I don't think they knew. You know, at the time, I think everybody was angry. You know, very angry over that war. It was a long war. You know, here we are, we're in Southeast Asia fighting a war, and you know, guys are getting killed and hurt, and you know, nobody really understands why we're doing this, and et cetera, et cetera. I won't get into the politics of it all, but I think the American people, some of them, certainly not all of them, you know, a small percentage, I'm sure, but you know, they took their anger out on the heroes, the veterans when they came home, and you know, a lot of these Vietnam veterans, you know, that they're still living with that, you know, and those wounds are run deep. And so anyway, here he is, and he was like, you know, I can't believe you guys are doing this for me. You know, he was so grateful. And he was like, this is, you know, he was kind of speechless. You know, he was very kind. He was very soft spoken, but he was so appreciative of what you guys were doing. And I think I told Karina, who books our events, I said, you know, try to, as much as you can, try to get, you know, the Vietnam veterans, because they're getting older like the rest of us, you know, and, you know, do what you can to try to get, you know, them, as many as we have on, you know, in our database, those that have signed up for our program, you know, let's try to get as many of those guys as you can on events, please. And she's been doing a great job doing that. But, you know, I think a lot of the heroes, the modern day, you know, post 9/11 veterans, you know, look at those Vietnam guys and gals and go, you know, that's going to be me someday. Oh yeah. You know, I'm gonna be old like that someday too, or older like that someday too. But I'm really proud of how we, you know, especially your team and many others around the country have, you know, helped change that, you know, stigma, you know, hey, welcome home, you know, thanks for what you did. I think we're past that, which is, you know, kind of a dark mark in our nation's history, but, you know, we're making amends for that. And I think people are expressing their true gratitude and thanks because we live in the greatest, you know, country in the history of the world. You know, it's, you know, we are free, and freedom isn't free. And, you know, these Americans who've been great American service members who've been wounded in action are just are now back home and reintegrating into our society the war in Afghanistan is over, and now what, right? I mean, I don't want to get into what's going on in the world today, but they're reintegrating into our society slowly, and every chance they get to connect with American people, in the very fabric of our society, like the great people on the shore of Erie, in the great state of Ohio, welcoming these heroes home, not expecting anything in return, but thanks for what you did, supporting it financially through fundraisers, because what we do is expensive business, but volunteering and opening your arms and your hearts. John, what you guys have done is really phenomenal. And I just want to thank you for it. I really genuinely appreciate all that you've done. And to me, you guys are my heroes. It's really true. You really are. We can't do this alone. This was once upon a time just a dream. It was one guy. It was me and a truck and a dog and a chunk of land, and a boat maybe, That's what it was. That's what I was doing, just to help these, veterans who, came back wounded. And next thing you know, people like you are saying, hey, I heard about what you're doing and I want to get involved, So we launched a website, and, here today in the late year of 2023, by last count, I think we had 42 missions in 35 different states and are serving, around 200 Purple Heart recipients plus annually. And we couldn't do it without people like you, great people like you. And so here's a shout out to everybody in your community and your supportive community that has helped, whether that's they gave $1 or they volunteered an hour of their time, or they, fill in the blank, they gave, use of their boat, use of their facility. It doesn't matter. Thank you for what you guys have done, because we can't do it without you. And it takes leadership. It takes commitment. It takes time. And mostly, I think it takes a big heart. And you guys, Team Erie, have all of those things. And I think that's why it's so successful.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's one question I get asked a lot on my fundraiser is, what service were you in? I tell them I was never in the service. Then the next question out of their mouth is, why do you do what you do?
That's a good question. Tell us.
I tell them that I really don't have I tell them I don't need nothing to do. I mean, these guys deserve it. That's maybe because I wasn't in the service. Maybe that's what I do, because I feel that I wasn't in the service and these guys need it. So yeah, but I do what I do just to help these guys out, and I really don't need an answer to take care of that. Pretty much, it's just a lot of support. Like I said, I'm going through all my thank yous, going out, giving all my thank yous, pictures, all that to everybody. I got, I think, 48 companies I got to go to within the next week to give out all my thank yous.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of companies involved.
Yeah. Well, it's, there's nothing. There's really nothing like saying thank you, and so many people just, they don't do that very well. Kindness, right? No, that's all you got to do is be kind and be nice. And
I went to a company this morning while I was out running around doing some stuff.
Yeah. And
I gave the lady my thank you. She goes, I got 2 of these up on my wall already. She goes, I really appreciate what you do, how you come back with your support. She goes, anytime you want a donation, you come back and see me.
See, there you go.
See, so that's all it is. You just got to go back and be supportive of the companies, thank them, because a lot of these companies, they get people that come in, grab their donations, and they'll never see them again.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 things that are important about this space. It's relationship, and relationship. That's
there you
go. It's really true. In business, they always say, location. Well, in our business, this business is about people. It's about taking care of people. And we're doing this to help our combat wounded. And we just had, incidentally, Cornell University's been following the foundation around. Dr. Keith Tidball, I met him over 10 years ago. I think it was like 12 years ago. was up in upstate New York on an event, and we got to meet by chance, and he saw what we were doing, and he's like, what you're doing, he says, I'm really, really interested in it. And he was in the service. I think he still is in the service. But Dr. Keith Tidball from Cornell University and I became, friends and constituents. And I ended up putting him on our board of directors as connected to the foundation as our science advisor, if you will. And, he advises the board and me a lot on stuff, but he's a real scientist. And so he started, he asked me, hey, listen, I think what you're doing in your work is very, very important. Nobody's really quite put their finger on why it works and why is it important and what's it actually doing, because on the outside, when you look at it, you go, you're just taking guys hunting and fishing. Well, that's true. That's a true statement. We are taking guys and gals, Purple Heart recipients hunting and fishing. That's a fact. But the other thing is, what they don't see is all the energy that went into it. It's sort of like they see the pitch. It's baseball season. It's October, and so you think about the pitcher on the mound, right? First off, somebody's got to throw him the ball. He gets the ball. He goes over to the rubber in the mound and he, prepares to throw the pitch, goes into his windup. There's all these things that he does, before that ball releases out of his hand. And if he's throwing 100 miles an hour or 98 miles an hour, that's like that. People see that and they go, well, you're just taking hunting and fishing. Well, that's the windup and the pitch, right? So the pitch is that's the event. But then the follow through, what happens after the pitch? The catcher's got to catch the ball. The umpire's got to make an assessment. And then the catcher's got to throw the ball back. And what if the batter hits the ball? Blah, blah, blah. There's all these things that happen, but people just see the pitch and go, you're taking a guy's hunting and fishing. But it's way more than that. It's all this. Absolutely. It's all this connective tissue, if you will, this layering of things. It's the outreach. It's, hey, how you doing? My name's Karina, and I'd like to, can we chat about going on one of our events? So there's that initial piece, and then there's the coordination with the host, and there's your engagement with the community. There's all this to the wind up right before the pitch. So all this activity happens before the event just to coordinate it and make it happen. Imagine just getting 10 guys or gals from 10 different places across the country to one location, right? You got to think about it, like how much work there's involved in that. And then, the event and the captains, and the licenses and the lodging and all those things, the food, all those things that go on to pull off this event, and then afterwards, it's the follow through that's so important. Hey, thanks for what you did. That's why I still sign every single thank you. Yep. I read them, I sign them, and I think to myself, somebody on the other end is going to get this, and this is a wet signature, and I might put a little love note in there or something like this, I appreciate what you do, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but I try I try to imagine myself receiving one of these after I volunteered, an afternoon or, a long weekend of my work. To help these wounded veterans and to have somebody acknowledge, even though most of them, that's not what they're looking for. But it certainly does feel good when somebody acknowledges what you've done and said, thank you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Very, very big part. It's that's what helps me a lot with my donations. I mean, like I said, I'm doing my thank yous now. I'll probably take a month or two off. The New Year's around, now I start going back out and getting donations for next year. So it's an ongoing thing, But thank yous are very big. People really appreciate that. The golf outing I just had, like I just told you, I gave them a thank you, and the guy who ran it, I gave him one of the challenge coins.
Awesome.
He was just amazed. Man, thank you for the hardware and this and that. He goes, man, that was very nice, and you didn't have to do that. Well, you didn't have to do what you guys did either. It's all a big team effort. If you don't do what you do, I can't do what I do. So, I mean, it's all just a real big team effort.
It is. And that challenge coin, I'll tell you something about it. I've given out, hundreds, if not thousands of them, honestly, in 17 years of doing this. And people, I always say, hey, listen, we used to just give them to the heroes, but I was like, you know what? This piece of hardware right here with our logo on it and the Purple Heart on the back, it's a heavy little piece of metal. It's about the size of a Kennedy half dollar. And this is our expression of gratitude for what you just did. And I've given it to people that have come out and said, for example, at Camp Hackett, helped us troubleshoot something, out there in the North Woods of Wisconsin, or emptied our septic tank and not charged us, whatever it might be. And I go, hey, listen, thanks for what you did, and I present the coin and maybe tell them a little bit about it, and I shake their hand. And every single person I've ever given that coin to, once they have it in their hand, they pause and they look at it. Yeah. And you can just see, and then you can feel the impact, right? And that's what this is about. That's what this is about. That's the feeling. Like, that doesn't come around every day. You didn't get that coin. I didn't give you that coin. You didn't give that coin to somebody unless they did something that had meaning, that added value and light, to the enterprise, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's important.
So, yeah. And then, like you said, they just love getting it and seeing it, and they cherish the hell out of it too.
Yes. I just love it. I love it. Well, listen, I'm going to give you a last whack at the piñata here, Jello John Everett. What is there anything you want to share with us? Anything that sticks out in your mind, or any shout out you want to give? I mean, any ammunition you'd like to expend here before we wrap this thing up?
No, I could tell you one funny story that we had.
I'd love it.
We when Dan Wilson, like I said, when me and him were just cleaning fish at the beginning, we all the guys came in and we had 300-400 fish to clean, and there's Dan and myself standing in this big aluminum building holding an electric knife, cleaning these fish. Next thing you know, we're doing all this in an electrical storm, standing in water. So, yeah, that was kind of just, it's like, damn, what are we doing here? We got aluminum roof over us. We're standing in water. We're holding electric knives. I said, this can't be good.
Yeah, that's it.
We just kept on cleaning fish. So, but yeah, it's all fun. We have a great time. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I said, you were at my one event. I said, my event next year is July 6th, so keep that open if you want to show up.
Mark my calendar. And I'm going to see you. I told Bill Miller, and I think I might have mentioned to you that I'm going to come up there and see you sometime in maybe January, February now after the holidays, because it's a little crazy, But we'll come up there and have a dinner together, and I'm not saying I'm expecting any Jello shots, but I would also be a little disappointed if you didn't bring a few along. But listen, I genuinely appreciate everything that you guys have done, and I wish you continued success. On behalf of a grateful foundation and our nation's combat wounded, I'll just give you this really smart big salute right there, my friend.
Thank you very much. We'll give you one back, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so
no problem.
What a great interview, John. I appreciate it. And we're going to sign off here. Hope everybody enjoyed this podcast from the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation. Honor, connect, and heal. Thanks for all your support and what you do.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Take care.
To learn more about the mission of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at WWIAF.org or follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to the WWIA Podcast and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.
If you like what you're listening to here and would like to join our team in our mission to bring healing power and recovery to America's Purple Heart heroes, please become part of our Sponsor a Hero team by clicking on the link in the podcast notes or by going to WWIAF.org/sponsor. That's WWIAF.org/sponsor. Our heroes need you now more than ever. Thank you.